Hi, and a very warm welcome to this, the very first module in your ACT Academy training program. Now let me take this opportunity to say a huge thank you to you for investing in this course, and I promise you the value you get from it will be at least 10 times more than the price you've paid to enjoy this content. So without further delay, let's get straight into part 1 of Module 1, which is where I start by explaining exactly what a lookup is, and also showing you the different ways in which you can access the lookup functionality. And you may be wondering why I've chosen to focus on lookups for this first module. Well, here's why. From experience, and remember that's over 20 years, I've been amazed at the sheer lack of understanding often associated with finding records in your database. And in most cases, it's simply down to naivety and a lack of education. See, finding records to work with is fundamental to working with any database, not just ACT, so I put huge emphasis to this, hence it's the first module within this course. Okay, before I go any further, let me quickly explain exactly what a lookup is, because it's not always obvious. Quite simply, a lookup is a breakdown of records that match specified criteria that you define. This can be very basic, based upon just one field in the database, or as sophisticated as you wish, using the advanced query functionality. Another way of looking at it is that it allows you to group records together that have something in common, either as a one-off lookup or one that you save for future reference. And one important note here, a lookup is different from a filter, and as we go through the course, I will be showing you the differences between the two. Now you can search for data within almost any aspect of your ACT database, including contacts, groups, companies, and opportunities. So for example, you might want to create a mailing list of all contacts that were referred to you by Google. To achieve this, you would typically select the Referred By field and search the contents for a reference to the word Google. The records that meet your lookup criteria appear in the appropriate list view. If only one record meets your lookup criteria, the detail view appears. However, if your lookup returns more than one record, the results will be displayed in the relevant list view. Now there are many different ways of performing lookups, and let's look at those now. Plus, as I show you each one, I'll also share with you the pros and cons of using that particular method. So starting with the navbar down the left-hand side, and the benefit of using this method is that ACT will scan the entire contents of the field for any instance of your search criteria. Let me show you this in action. Here I am within the contact detail view, so let me find all contacts that have the word Dexter somewhere within their full name. There you'll see I've got 3 contacts who match my criteria, and because of that, ACT has displayed those results in the list view. Had there only been one record, as I said, ACT would have displayed that in the detail view. Now although by default the navbar lookup search scans the entire content of your predefined field, you do have the option to modify this by clicking More Options, and this will then allow you to define additional search settings. So are there any downsides of using the navbar for lookups? Well, you only have access to the fields in the current display or table. Therefore, you cannot search the contents of the groups table when working in the contact view. To achieve that, you would have to switch to that view first, and then choose the relevant field from within the list. Okay, moving on to the second option for performing lookups, the lookups menu. From here, you can pretty much do anything you'll ever want to in respect of lookups. Now I'm not going to go into each one in this video, as I will be covering this in a lot more detail in one of my next few. All I want to do here is educate you on the options available to you in respect of the lookup functionality. Now the first important point I want to make you aware of is that the menu is context sensitive. What that actually means is that the content changes depending on the mode you're currently working in. Again, let me show you this. Here I am within the contact mode, so the majority of the menu content relates to contacts. I say majority because as you'll see there at the bottom of the menu, there are options available to search within other modes. However, if I switch over to groups and click on the lookup menu now, you'll notice the top section of the menu is now relevant to groups rather than contacts. And that goes for companies and opportunities too. But when you're working in the calendar, task list, reports or dashboard modes, the lookup menu will be exactly the same as if you were working in the contact mode. Now just while we're here, one slight negative of using the lookup menu is that you don't have immediate access to all of the relevant fields within that particular mode that you're currently working in. For example, the data fields for fax, personal email and website that are on our layout are not available directly from this list. Therefore, you would have to click other fields and choose it from there. Okay, so let's look up a contact using the menu option and see what we get. So you may notice that this is the same dialog box that appeared when we clicked more options from the navbar lookup option. What you'll realise as we go through this course is that ACT is very consistent in its functionality, and what I mean by that is although there's often more than one way to carry out a particular function, regardless of where you process your command, the resulting screen or dialog box is often the same. But again, in this video I only want to show you the different techniques that you can use, so I'm not going to perform any lookup at this stage. One of the benefits of using this menu is that you have access to all of the different modes, not only the one that you're currently working in. So the final method for performing a lookup is by using the right mouse button. Here we are within the contact detail view, and from here you have the possibility of searching within any field that is present on the layout. To achieve this, simply hover your mouse over the relevant data field, then right click on your mouse and choose lookup, and what you'll notice is that the menu again is sensitive to the data field that you're hovered over. So here I am over the company name, so the option available to me is lookup company. However, if I move to the email field and again right click on the data field, the option now is to look up email. And one important point here again. You may have picked up on the fact that I specifically said hover over the particular data field that you want to look up, and this is because if you right click anywhere else on the layout, the menu you get is totally different. But more on that in another module. Okay, so let's quickly go through the motions of performing a lookup using this technique and let's see the result. Right click on the company data field, choose lookup company, and there again you'll see the same screen that we've been exposed to when using the other techniques. You can also use the right mouse button from within list views, but I will cover this when we get to that particular module of the course. So there you have it, 3 different ways to perform a lookup, and hopefully now you'll try all 3 and decide which one suits you best. That concludes this opening video. You can now progress to the next one and enjoy even more great training.